Joe Biden expected to speak tonight after jumping into the lead in some key battleground states, which at the moment are too close to call. Let's check in with Peter Ducey from the latest on the Biden campaign. Peter.
Jesse, good evening. Even though there's been no final call yet, Biden campaign staffer tells me that on a conference call this morning, higher-ups were telling Biden staffers to enjoy this moment. And at this moment, Joe Biden remains at home. That's where he's been all day. We haven't seen or heard from him since yesterday's minute and 45-second long speech. And that's where he said sometimes democracy is messy and requires patience, which he hopes he gets from campaign staffers and supporters. The Biden campaign is paying very close attention to the things President Trump is saying, telling me that his remarks last night were desperate, baseless, and a sure sign he's losing. And the campaign is interpreting reports that President Trump has no plans to concede as meaning that he may not leave the White House by the time that the lease is up at the end of January, telling Fox the U.S. government has a lot of experience removing trespassers from the White House grounds. The campaign is confident enough that they're on a glide path to 270 electoral votes, that officials did not host an on-the-record update about the way they see the map shaking out like they did yesterday and the day before. Kamala Harris, still in town. She is set to speak first if tonight's event moves forward, and there has been a noticeable increase in security around here. There's also been a noticeable increase in the number of curious locals who are walking up to the Secret Service fence, sticking their phones through, trying to get a look at the set where Biden may speak tonight.
All right. Thanks a lot, Peter. All right, Greg, looks like it's moving quickly over there.
Well, I think Joe's really lucky because he's lucky if the Republicans have the Senate, because that's a supplemental spine, and he needs that, right?
That's a great point.
He needs it, and it's like when he starts to teeter or he loses his energy, which could happen the very first day, he can blame it on cocaine Mitch and everybody else. And I think that's really important, and I think that Americans who voted for Trump, who feel down, they should be a bit relieved that there's a really good balance of power here, and that's the way our founders created this place, is so you win a little in every election, and this election, it's not going to change your life. It's not going to change your family life or your love life or your diet or your fitness routine, and hopefully it won't change your job. It may for some people at CNN, but we'll be okay. But the point is, if you were willing to trade any of those positive elements of your life for a different outcome in your election, you're not a real person, right?
Dana, how do you think Team Biden has conducted itself in the days following the election?
I think pretty well. I'm a little uncomfortable with tonight's speech. I feel like that Joe Biden feeling like he needed to be seen at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon just to keep everybody calm and that seemed to make a lot of sense to me. Nothing has changed from yesterday to today, except for we don't have any additional race calls. Now, I imagine when they announced that there was going to be an evening speech that they probably thought this thing was going to be projected as a win for them and that they would present themselves as president and vice president-elect. That's not the case. So I think that it's just a little curious to have this right now, but up to this point, I think that their comments have been pretty good.
What do you think Biden's going to say tonight, Juan?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, I think he will make it very clear that although he's not declaring victory and he's aware of the court cases, he wants to move forward and plan for the country. He thinks that's in the best interest of the American people. Just in quick response, though, I would say, look, the Secret Service today sealed the airspace over Biden's house. They have increased, as you just heard from Peter Ducey, their presence around Biden. Their job is to protect the president and the next president. And I think, judged on their actions today, you can see that what they think about the state of this race.
Final thoughts, Dagan?
All Joe Biden has to do is sit back, just lay down on his chaise and try to figure out how to lay claim to the vaccines that are going to come
the economy.
The vaccines, we're going to have 3 maybe that are approved in January. Again, Operation Warp Speed. Who laid that plan in place? President Trump. And then the economy, we're back below 7% on unemployment. Yeah. It took 7 months. It took 4.5 years after the 2009 recession ended for it to fall below that mark under Obama and Biden. All he has to do is nothing. Don't raise taxes. The economy's improving. Let people get back to work, and you can just have somebody feed you grapes. Greg?
I'd love to do that.
Luckiest politician in America, Joe Biden.